In a world where average fades, only the relentless rise. You're stepping into a new standard. Strength, purpose, leadership. This is the Chad Miller Fitness Podcast.
All right, welcome to another episode. I'm guessing that most people listening have goals. So why do your goals feel like a grind? Do you ever hit that point where you're doing everything right? You're checking the boxes, pushing hard, showing up, and still feeling like you're running in place? Like your wheels are spinning, but you're not going anywhere. I know, I've been there too. Actually, I remember being there about 11 years ago. Had all these ambitious plans, working 14-hour days, crushing my workouts, but man, I felt like I was swimming upstream in concrete. And I'll tell you right now, it's not because you're soft, it's not because you lack discipline, and it's not because you don't want it bad enough. It's because you're doing it the hard way. Most men are. You see, we're wired to charge forward, to outwork, to outgrind, to outlast. It's in our DNA. We've been taught that if something's worth doing, it's worth suffering for. Here's the thought. Discipline without alignment equals burnout. Momentum without clarity equals chaos. What you need isn't more hustle. Trust me on this. What you need is alignment, strategy, precision. So let me break this down and give you the blueprint to get back in flow, not just back into motion. Step 1, alignment is everything. I learned this the hard way. You can have all the discipline in the world, but if your habits, your thoughts, your environments, and your energy aren't lined up with your goals, you will sabotage yourself every single time. It's like trying to jam the wrong key into a lock. It doesn't matter how hard you twist or how much force you apply, it's just not going to open. So I'll share a story with you. Picture this. You walk into any corporate gym at 5:30 a.m. and you'll probably see this person. The guy in the corner, headphones in, grinding through his workout like his life depends on it, perfect form, tracking every rep, following his program to the letter. But here's what you probably noticed over the next few weeks. Same guy, same intensity, same dedication, but he's not changing. If anything, he looks more tired each week. It turns out he's been at this for 3 months, waking up at 5 a.m. religiously, meal prepping every Sunday, hitting macros perfectly Monday through Friday, but then he'd come home to a pantry full of his wife's snacks, his kids' cereal, leftover pizza from the weekend. His environment was completely misaligned with his goals. 3 months later, he's burned out, frustrated, and back to square one. So here's your first challenge, and I want you to really think about this. What's one decision you've been avoiding? What's one decision you've been avoiding that needs to change this week? You know, the one thing deep down you really know is out of alignment. Maybe it's the business partnership that's draining your energy. Maybe it's staying up until midnight scrolling when you know you need to sleep. Maybe it's that friend group that always wants to hit happy hour when you're trying to level up. Get brutally honest with yourself here, because when everything lines up, when your environment supports your goals, when your habits reinforce your vision, you don't need to start forcing results anymore. You start attracting them. Step 2, find your 20%. All right, the next reality check. Most of what you're doing, total waste of time. I know that stings, but hear me out. You're busy, you're working hard, I see you grinding, but here's the thing, you're doing a ton of stuff that actually doesn't move the needle. The top 20% of your actions create 80% of your results, period. This isn't some motivational stuff, this is math, and it's called the Pareto principle. So why are you still spending 80% of your time on activities that only generate 20% of your results? There are business owners out there working 12-hour days, answering every email within 5 minutes, attending every networking event, and meticulously optimizing social media posts, busy as hell. But if they actually audited their time, I bet we only find about 2 hours of their day were actually spent on revenue-generating activities. Everything else was urgent, non-important. And I would say to cut 70% of that urgent, not important activity. Stop going to networking events that weren't ideal. Batch process emails twice a day instead of being a ping pong ball, and hire someone to handle your social media in the business. I bet the results would be increased revenue with fewer working hours. Here's your challenge. Eliminate one thing this week that's bringing zero return, emotionally, physically, or financially. Cut the urgent, not important. Get lean, get lethal. That committee you're on that makes you want to pull your hair out, drop it. The workout routine that's boring you to death, switch it up. The client that pays you peanuts and demands everything, fire them. Step 3, collapse the timeline. You've heard me talk about this one before. Here's a power move that most men never make, and honestly, it changed everything for me. Stop giving yourself 12 months to do something you could finish in 60 days. I'm serious about this. We do these things that we give ourselves these comfortable, reasonable timelines. I'll lose 30 pounds this year. I'll launch my business next Christmas. I'll write my book eventually. But here's what happens with those timelines. There's no urgency, no fire under your butt, no real pressure to act. Urgency breeds clarity. Clarity breeds power. I'll give you a real personal example. Let me tell you about my book, Belief Mode. I had this idea bouncing around in my head for literally years. I got part of this concept out when I co-authored a book, but honestly, I wasn't happy with that. I wanted it all out there, on my terms, not watered down or edited out to fit that first publishing company's criteria. After that, I told myself, someday I'll finish that book. When I have time, I'll get to it again. Or when I'm in a place where I can focus. So you know what happened from 2017 to 2020? I started and stopped in spurts. Finally, in 2022, I got sick of my own excuses. I set a deadline, 4 months, not 4 years. And you know what? I wrote the book in 4 months, not because I'm a writing genius, but because I compressed the timeline, and that forced me to focus on what actually mattered. Oh, and FYI, if you want a copy of Belief Mode, you can pick it up on Amazon, by the way. When you've got 4 months instead of 4 years, you can't afford to waste time on perfect chapter titles or obsessing over the font choice. You write. So here's your challenge. What's your number one goal right now? Got it? Good. Now slash that deadline by 50%. If you were planning to achieve it in 6 months, give yourself 3 months. Or if you're feeling really aggressive, cut it even more and do it in 1 month. Don't give yourself time to hesitate, to overthink, to get paralyzed by perfection. Execute with pressure. That's where focus lives. Step 4, upgrade your environment. Last thing, and this might be the most important, your environment is either pulling you forward or holding you back. There's no neutral. You can't win big if you're surrounded by small energy. Your room, your circle, your standards, they matter more than your willpower. I see guys trying to build empires while hanging out with people who complain about gas prices, or trying to get in the best shape of their lives while their closest friends think working out is too much work. Greatness doesn't grow in average soil. I learned this when I started going for greatness in 2015. I was hanging around the same people I'd known for years, good people, but they just didn't understand what I was trying to build. Every time I talked about my goals, I got eye rolls, or that sounds risky, or maybe you should stick with something that you know, something safer. I mean, it wasn't malicious at all. They just couldn't see what I could see. So I had to make a choice. Stay comfortable and small, or find new environments that would stretch me. I joined a few masterminds with other entrepreneurs, coaches, and fitness pros who are already where I wanted to be. I joined a men's group for my faith. And a more recent example, I started a new venture just this last year. I hooked up with a team that was breaking records in the industry, and I ended up learning from the person who was number 1 in the entire state. In my first year, I ended up number 9 in the entire state with over 17,000 people in that state, in that field. To this day, I continue reading books and listening to podcasts by people who think bigger than I do. For me, it took an adversity that happened in 2015 to make this change, but within 6 months, my whole trajectory changed. Not because I suddenly became more disciplined, but because my environment was now pulling me forward instead of holding me back. The nice thing for you is today is an opportunity. You don't have to wait for adversity to make this change happen. What's one new environment you must insert yourself into this month that will raise your game? Is it a gym where people actually train hard? Or a mastermind with people building real businesses? Maybe a mentor group that challenges your thinking? Or a team that pushes you to be better? You already know what it is. Stop waiting for permission. Stop waiting for the right time and just do it. Okay, let me wrap this up. If you've been grinding, pushing, working your butt off and still feeling stuck, it's not because you're broken. It's not because you don't have what it takes. You're just out of sync. And the version of you that's unstoppable, the one that makes things look easy, the one that gets results while others are making excuses, he's not buried under more hustle. He's not hiding behind some secret productivity hack. He's buried under misalignment, distraction, and low standards. You fix those three things, and suddenly energy returns, momentum builds, your edge sharpens, and domination becomes inevitable. So this week, realign, refocus, and dominate. Figure out what's out of sync in your life and fix it. Cut the 80% that's wasting your time. Compress your timeline and create some urgency, and upgrade your environment to match your ambitions. Do that and watch everything change. If this episode resonated with you, share it with someone who needs to hear it. Let's raise the standard together. This is Chad Miller. Until next time, be unstoppable.
You just listened to the Chad Miller Fitness Podcast, where men rise with discipline, clarity, and action.